Guys, this is going to be a best of episode. We've cropped together some of our best portions of some of our interviews. Wasn't feeling good today, so we'll catch you guys next week. But you have Seattle Mariners second baseman Bret Boone, Seattle Seahawks center Robbie Tobeck. You have Seattle Seawolves manager Kevin Flynn. We'll also have J.J. Putz, former Seattle Mariner pitcher. And we also have Jason Reid. He won a Webby and an Emmy producing and editing Sonic's Gate, the story of the Seattle Supersonics leaving Seattle to become Oklahoma City Thunder. So I hope you guys enjoy. I put a lot of work into this. Sorry that we couldn't make it today. I wasn't feeling very well. So enjoy the ride, guys. See you next week. What's going on, guys?
What's happening?
What's happening? I'm Nick.
I'm Eric.
And this is Talking Interference Sport. And if you guys are in the Everett library or the Everett area, go to the library and check out Tabby's Coffee. Tabby's Coffee is located in the library. Go check her out. We got our banner made by Professional Copy and Print. So go look them up at pcnq.com. If you guys want to get some t-shirts or some coffee mugs or some banners or anything you need to get some printing done, go check them out. This is their product. So shout out to them. Go to SeatGeek.com. SeatGeek.com is a very easy website to use. And if you use it, find a ticket for your event, you could go and use our promo code GCSN and get $20 off your purchase. I don't know why you wouldn't want to save some money. So, here you are. All right. So the 2001 season was historic for the Seattle Mariners and the baseball in general. What was your favorite memory of being a part of that team?
I don't think I have a favorite one. I think that year. That year in general was just a favorite, and how couldn't it be? It was just one of those special years when I've never played in a team where the chemistry was that good and everybody was on the same page and we couldn't lose. And it was something that when we took the field, there was an aura just about us, and you could almost feel it, and I think the other team could feel it. We'd be losing in the 7th or 8th inning, down by 1 or 2, and we knew we were going to win, and they knew we were going to come back and beat them. And it seemed like more times than not, and it wasn't an arrogance. We weren't chanting in the dugout or anything. It was just a subtle look, like we're going to get them again, aren't we?
Right.
And kind of the guys just looking at each other and giving each other a nod, like, yeah, we're going to get them again. So it wasn't an arrogance. It was just a supreme confidence. And like I said, you get to play in a team like that, maybe if you're lucky, once in your life.
I remember the motto being 2 outs, so what? Like, you guys just always
it was unbelievable. And I didn't believe in chemistry and all that before then. I was from the school, I played on a 99 Braves team where we would just go out and bludgeon you to death.
Right.
And we won 106 games, and we had a great team and a great pitching staff. And my opinion was, all this chemistry, that's a bunch of BS. That you get the best players, you roll them out there, and you steamroll people. That's what I thought. Until that year, there was something different about that team, because we had a lot of great. People like to say it wasn't. Oh, the team wasn't that great. It was that great. We had MVPs and Gold Gloves and batting champions all over that field, and it just so happens that all at once, everybody had a great year at the same time, including the pitching staff. And it was just something that we just gained momentum over time, and it was like we couldn't lose. I don't think we lost a series that year until September. Then 9/11 hit, and there's no excuses why we didn't win at all. But I think even today, the guys from that team look back and how did we not finish the deal that year?
Right.
And there's no rhyme or reason, but Now we just have the greatest regular season team of all times, but it would have been nice to finish it that year.
Hey, you know what? It's nice to have that banner at least hanging up there, whether it's not a championship or an AL West championship or AL championship. It was an AL West, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't an AL championship or it wasn't a World Series championship, at least we have the tied the record banner hanging up in there. We got one more question for Bret.
And that season was just amazing.
It was
to watch.
phenomenal to watch, and it was great
Especially
to.
as a kid.
Oh yeah, that's really kind of what tied me into baseball. So thanks for that.
That's what I said. Those times in Seattle, you remember, being young and what that city's capable of from a baseball and supporting a baseball team standpoint.
Oh yeah, there wasn't.
That's why it's been frustrating. I think to not only ex-players but that whole Seattle Mariner fan base is the failure to put a winner on the field.
Absolutely.
A lot over the last 15 years.
It's been a brutal 15 years, man.
Yeah, it has.
Last year was fun, though. Last year was
I'll
fun.
keep rooting.
Is your infamous bat flips, man. I was watching that grand slam that you had against Barry Zedito not too long ago. Was that intentional that you would do the bat flips, or was it just instinctual?
Kind of evolved over my career. I had a friend of mine, teammate of mine. Well, it started kind of with the guy in Montreal, and I forget his name too, but he came into the big leagues, and when he'd strike you out, he'd almost do a dance on the mound. It kind of started with Dennis Eckersley. I remember facing Eckersley early in my career, and if he'd strike me out, he'd kind of pull his gun out, kind of shoot me. And, it's not that I was overly angry at that, but as a hitter, when you get struck out, he breaks his revolver out and shoots you, it kind of sticks in your craw a little bit, like you really want to get him.
Okay.
And years later, a teammate of mine who I really liked and had a really good career, his name was Stan Belinda, and he had gotten traded and I got traded. I think I was with the Padres. He might have been with Pittsburgh, I forget, but it was late in the game, 8th inning, and I came up in a sacrifice fly situation and popped it up to the catcher, I think. And Stan came over to me, and like I said, we were buddies from my Reds days. And he kind of said to me in the heat of the moment, "Way to pop it up, Boone." And I kind of, that was the last thing I wanted to hear right now. I don't care if you're my friend or not on the field.
Right.
After the game, if we're out at a bar or at a restaurant, yeah, that's when you can give me a little crap.
Yeah, low
But I
blow.
remember not too long after that, I hit a big home run off him in a big situation, and I just stood there, and something made me flip my bat, and that's when it started. And kind of in Seattle, it kind of took on a little life of its own because my teammates really liked it.
Oh, yeah.
The Boone bat flip, and they wanted it.
The fans loved it.
I kind of kept doing it, and took it to another level, but it was nothing that I really. I never stood at home plate and just, stood in the box and just watched it go out. It would always be hit it. When I know I got it, flip of the bat, and I'm on my way to first base.
I like it.
And it was just kind of my thing. Like I said, I kind of did it for my teammates. They liked it. And, some pitchers didn't like it. Some pitchers didn't really care. I didn't really care when I was playing.
Right.
That was just my little thing. I was going to do it. If you didn't like it, hit me.
Right.
A bit farther, and it didn't really bother me. And to be honest with you, I didn't get hit. I don't remember really getting hit for a bat flip.
Okay.
And that's because I think I was always on my way. I wouldn't stand just watch. Some of the bat flips today I laugh at. I call them premeditated bat flips. If you watch my bat flip, it's kind of natural, like part of my swing. I just gotta let it go and keep going.
There was a lot of times where I was watching the highlights after finding out that we were going to be talking to you, that I would see that there would be one where you'd hit the bat and it looked like it was going to be a bat flip, and I was like, you knew that it wasn't going out, so you kind of just tossed it to the side, and it was a natural thing.
Well,
and I
if you
appreciated
look
that.
Okay, you watch someone like Derek Jeter. When you get rid of the bat, it would just fling out of his hands. Watch Dan Wilson, who I played with for a lot of years in Seattle. Who when he would square it up, he had a way of flinging the bat out of his hands. It was just part of our swing. I had a very similar thing. When I'd get a hit, the bat would just kind of naturally flip. But then I just, like I said, as time went on, I just kind of added to it. So when I knew I got one, I would just kind of, the natural thing for me to do is to fling it out of my hands, but I would just fling it up and out.
I like
and
it.
show you the hands and just, put a little mustard on it. But I just had fun with it. I didn't take it serious. I didn't take myself serious.
Right.
It was just something I did.
Okay. I can appreciate that answer. I like it.
I like that too.
And like I said, I really didn't care what the other pitcher thought. If you
No,
feel
and as you
like
shouldn't.
I was disrespecting you, I meant no disrespect, never did. I always played the game hard.
Right.
And that was my little thing. And if someone took offense to it, I remember one time there was a guy named Aaron Seeley who was a teammate of mine in Seattle. He got traded to Anaheim, and I really liked Aaron. And I remember he said, "Boone, if we're ever playing against each other and you hit a home run off me, can you please not flip your bat on me?" And I remember in Anaheim, I took him deep. I think I took him deep a couple times, and I hit it. And I went to do it because it was natural for me to flip it out. And something inside me laid the bat down on the plate and ran. And I remember crossing home plate and looking out at Aaron, and Aaron tipping his cap to me. So there's some gamesmanship.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's some things, it was a request. And I told Aaron, you know what, Aaron, I'll do the best I can if I ever take you deep, not to flip the bat. And I did it. And I think it was kind of fun between us. But I think it's something he actually appreciated. Like, I had to think about it, but I did it.
We read a little bit into your background, and we saw that you did spend a lot of time in the Phillies organization while you were younger, and that you did get to hang out with Pete Rose. Feel free to not answer the question at all, but do you have any thoughts or, opinions on him being in or out of the Hall of Fame?
It's a tough one for me. It's another question I get asked all the time. Pete's one of my favorite players of all time. Obviously one of the best hitters and just kind of iconic players of
Absolutely.
This game, of all time. That's a tough question for me because that's just one thing in this game that you cannot do is bet on or against your team. And I don't think Pete necessarily went into it and bet against his team. I don't think he would do that. But you got to look at it on both sides. If you're betting for your own team, you're putting your players at risk.
Right.
For example, if you have a closer that's gone 2 nights in a row and it's the third night and you give him the night off, for precautionary to take care of his arm, take care of his health long term. If you got a big bet riding on it, you might bring that guy in when that's not the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So I think I'm so caught in the middle on that question because of, as a young man and as a kid, what a strong influence he was on me. And as an adult, to be posed that question, I'm kind of stuck in the middle. So I'll keep it there.
Okay, I understand. That's a perfect answer. Under Lou Piniella for 3 years, what was your opinions on Lou Piniella while you were?
I was fortunate enough. I played for a lot of great managers. I played for Bobby Cox and Bob Melvin and Bruce Bochy and Lou. Davey Johnson was a great manager. My favorite of all time is Lou, by the way.
Okay. Okay.
And
Why is that?
It wasn't just his managing ability. It was just Lou, and it's tough to explain without living with him for a year. But there's nobody like him. When Lou was born, they broke the mold, and just really enjoyed my time with him. He was a guy that demanded a lot out of everybody. But if he respected you as a person and as a ball player, he'd run through a wall for you. And if he didn't, well, you didn't want to be that guy. So
right.
I really enjoyed my time, and to this day, he's my favorite. Like I said, I got to play for a lot of great managers, and I enjoyed the vast majority of them. I think I got to play for 7. But Lou was my favorite.
All right, so you played in 2 Super Bowls. Which one of those impacted you the most?
Well, they both hurt. I mean, yeah, it's just different. You hear people say that you never get over losing the Super Bowl, and I can, I agree with that. I mean, you just never do. You look at our Super Bowl here with the Seahawks, and doggone it, man. If it was just a different day,
Right.
And look, I don't go around blaming the refs because that whole year we overcame bad calls, we overcame penalties, we overcame turnovers, we overcame things to win football games. And in the Super Bowl, we didn't overcome things to win the football game. But boy, it was bad. It was really bad, and maybe it was too much to overcome. When you look at the touchdown that wasn't, the offsides didn't get called, and then they called holding on Sean. There's all these different things. The push off in the end zone. I guess there was 2 touchdowns. The Darryl Talley one and the Roethlisberger one where he didn't get it. So there's those are momentum changing plays, and momentum swings in a game. That's what can win a game for you. So it was tough. And then in Atlanta we had the whole Eugene Robinson situation. And that was a distraction on game day. So both Super Bowls, I thought we were going to win. I thought I was on the better team. We had great weeks of practice, but then on game day we didn't finish it out. And that's what being a champion is all about, is being able to finish it out. And it's one of those things that I'll regret it the rest of my life, is that I was that close twice and wasn't able to close the deal. But on the flip side, though, you got to be thankful that I was able to play in that game twice. But
We
you certainly want to win it if you get there.
we often preach over here on Talking Interference Sports about not blaming the refs as an issue, because not saying you guys didn't play good, but if you guys had just played a little bit better, it could have the bad calls wouldn't have made that much of a difference,
Right.
Pretty
So,
terrible calls.
They were really, really bad calls, but it's
Well, it's just it's momentum. It's momentum plays. We go down, D-Jack scores. They call it back.
right.
Roethlisberger looked like he was down on the 1. They call it a touchdown.
Right.
There's a couple other things, and we had a long. I remember during the game. Again, when I'm in a game, I wasn't thinking about stuff, but I just remembered that game after we ran a punt down the sideline. It was a pretty good return. They called a holding, and I just remember running on the field thinking to myself, gosh, every time we get a good play, we get it called back or we have a penalty. And I wasn't thinking, well, the refs were making bad calls. I just remember thinking, every time we have a good play, we have a penalty. And I was thinking, well, they must be good calls, and it was just a frustration at that time. But again, like I said earlier, all year long we overcame that stuff, and we weren't able to finish it that game. And you gotta look in the mirror, in those situations.
Can you describe the feeling that you and the other guys on the O-line had, knowing that you had blocked your way to an MVP season for Sean Alexander, and blocking for him to get a single season touchdown record?
Well, that was one of those things that during the season, you don't really think about it. We're just going out. We want to win football games and do our job. And we knew that Sean was one of the weapons that we had on our offense, that if we could get him going, and we had a good shot at winning. So you just, every week's a new challenge. Every week is a new. It's like you hear, these standard canned answers from Russell Wilson all the time. It sounds like, you're talking to Pete Carroll, or you look at the Patriots and then, we're on to the next game, And that's really how it's got to be in my mind. And you just keep moving through the season, and then all of a sudden you get to the end of the season and you're like, wait a minute. We got a chance to set a record here. I think it was the Green Bay game we were going into, the last game of the year that year. And you're saying, we got a chance to set a record, a touchdown record.
we got to go get this. Let's go get this. You don't get those opportunities very much, especially as an offensive lineman.
Right.
You don't get a lot of the individual accolades that other positions get. So we had really determined and really wanted that record, and was glad that we got the opportunity to get that thing, and Mike gave us that opportunity in that last game to go out and get that record. So yeah, it's a great feeling of accomplishment. It's humbling to have those types of opportunities in your career, to play long enough to be exposed to some of that, and it's something that I do cherish, and I'm thankful that I was able to be.
So in preparation for talking to you, I found a lot of articles where you had not so fine of a moment with the Redskins. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I had a thing where if you get it, they have to report it to the CDC.
Right.
And if a few cases of it breaks out, they've literally quarantined towns before.
Oh wow!
And so that's the level of what I had going on in my stomach at that time, and it hit me. We flew to DC on a Friday night, and Hutch was my roommate. It hit me that night, and we called the trainer, and the trainer's like, "You get out of the room, Hutch." So they got Hutch another hotel room. They always have a couple extras for situations like this. I guess I'm not the first, but I didn't go to walkthrough on Saturday. I didn't go to meetings on Saturday. I did not leave my room. And this thing is one of these situations where it comes and goes over the course of weeks. There's not a whole lot they can do. I lost 20 pounds. And I remember for that Washington game, Coach Holmgren, I walked by him and he just says, "Tough it out." So we play the game, and they had a nose guard at the time. His name was Big Daddy Wilkerson, right? So when you got a nickname Big Daddy, he's a big fella.
Yeah.
I'm pushing on him as hard as I can push, and we're fighting and stuff. And all of a sudden, Sean Alexander's a run and play right up the middle. He runs right to my back. And with all the effort I was giving, and then hitting the back, I lost it. I admitted I did. So I'm laying there thinking, well, do I go to the sidelines now, or do I get back in the huddle? And I was like, well, I'm not coming out of the game. So I went back in the huddle, and then I'm thinking, do I tell Hasselback to go shotgun? Or do I just let it ride? So I just let it ride, and then we ended up punting the ball on the drive, and I went and got a change of pants and stuff like that. It was a bad situation, but
hey, I like that you stayed out there.
It was, but I fought through it.
I noticed a lot of the guys are not from the United States on the Seawolves. I was curious what the rule was for domestic players versus imports. Is there a set number in which you have X amount of exports or domestic players?
In the MLR, you'll have 10 foreigners. And there's going to be more teams that come in, in the coming years here. And with that, the American talent pool right now, we need to develop that even more. And I think anyone who's foreign, who's been here a long time, or anyone who's touched on American sport, can realise that, the American athlete is second to none. I mean, they're amazing athletes here that we just have to figure out how to tap into that market, educate them on being, rugby players and develop them. But until we get to that point, we are going to need some foreign players in key positions. I mean, imagine, if American football is in the UK, who's going to be the quarterback? Probably be an American.
Yeah.
Because it's, he's the guy who can help lead the plays and stuff like that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know that, that's our experience here is there are some key positions that normally filled in with foreign players who played at that level, who have that experience, and those other players that are around them that are very talented but lack the experience, really can learn off of them. And certainly this week we have an All Black in town, and they're talking to some of if they want to come towards the end of their career and play here, and really what we're looking at is not for that person himself to what he can bring to the team, what can he bring for the guys around him, and help them to develop and stuff like that. Because in my personal opinion, if we are looking for more than 30 or 40% of our players overseas in 4 or 5 years' time, then we haven't achieved our goal. We failed. I mean, it's and it might be a longer timeline than that. But in Seattle, I think that's realistic. We've got some very talented players up here. But and for other areas, it might be longer. But I think that has to be the goal. And like I say, that's just my opinion. I mean, we need to look at how we can develop the American athlete. One, as far as those business people that are involved, I'm sure they'd like it because it's probably cheaper than bringing guys in, so that helps them. But at the same time, it's homegrown talent. I mean, do we think Seattle fans would get behind Seattle players? 100%. And in fairness to our foreign players that are here now, they've bought in, they love Seattle. They really love the culture here. So, I could see a lot of those guys actually staying here beyond their rugby career, but ultimately they're the type of players that we want engaging in our community and helping develop young rugby players at Saracens, at local clubs like Valley and Chucking Up that we're partnered with, or youth programs. And I think although there's a lot of foreigners now, our goal should be not to have a lot of foreigners.
Okay.
And that's going to take some work and a bit of vision, but I don't think it's out of the question at all in the not too distant future.
With rugby becoming a rapidly fast-growing sport in the United States, how optimistic are you about the MLR taking off in the United States?
I think I'm actually very optimistic about the MLR taking off, but I think we can. My opinion is that there are things that we can offer people that other sports potentially can't offer, and also provide the American public, an insight into our culture, which is pretty cool to be part of. So, we're reaching out, like you said, it's a very diverse, demographic that we have playing rugby. Everyone plays rugby, So, we're going into schools that are predominantly African American or Polynesian, and that I've been helping out for years, and really then we started realizing, we want to tell the story more, and something that those athletes can engage in, and certainly, we've got African American players and Polynesian players who've been volunteering their time. We started putting them in that school environment, and our message no longer is about rugby. It's more about opportunity, and because we've got to be careful. If all we do is advertise about the Seawolves or Glendale, then we become like other American sports, and it's only for the professional or the elite athlete, and that's not accurate.
Right.
It's for everybody, and we want everyone to buy into that. I mean, if you're 18 years old and there's a good chance that you might not go to university, come play rugby. And the reality is, if you take on that opportunity, then the numbers speak for themselves. I don't know rugby players unemployed, not for any length of time. I don't know rugby players who are looking for housing. I certainly don't know any sleeping on the streets at the moment. We look out for each other, and I think that's a stronger message. And if we can get that message across to people that this is what rugby looks like, it's not about 80 minutes. And I think we'll get more people buying into our sport I know I didn't ask my kids to play rugby over 6 and 7-year-old. They want to play it just because they're around it. I certainly didn't push them that route. But, as an outsider, would I want my kids to be looked after, not just on the field? 100%
Right.
I would, and if I'm 18 years old and I don't know what I'm going to do for work, and I don't know what I'm going to where I'm going to live, and you've just been told you can't play sports anymore because basically you're not going to college. Well, rugby can provide those three things at the very base level, and it doesn't. And the cool thing is, it doesn't matter how good you are. You don't have to be good to do it. As an athlete, it might be something you want to do socially. You're still accepted, and I think for the MLR to grow and rugby to grow, I think they're the strong messages we have to get out. Providing just a good product on the field is certainly, obviously, a part of it. But right now, we're only attracting rugby people, or people who might be connected to rugby people. So how do we reach out to the bigger community that we know will love this when they get here? We have to do things that they're passionate about, and whether that's going into underserved areas and showing them, giving them opportunities to do this stuff, or whether it's going to wheelchair rugby and helping those guys and training against them, which we do sometimes, or whether it's going to youth programs and reaching out to those parents and educating them on, hey, this is a place for them after they're 18. And a lot of those parents don't know that.
Right.
So we're very careful and trying to be very careful. I'm now the community director also for the Seattle Seawolves. And part of that journey, I think, is I'm pretty careful. I want us to be, the message to be, although we've got Seawolves in the room talking to all these kids, there's another place for you too. We don't want to be that sport that only they can play if they're elite. there's so much more opportunity than that. And I think if that's the message we can portray to people and show, and we're not making it up, this is our reality. If we can show that, I think more people will buy into the sport. I think more businesses will sponsor it because it's a good message and it's looking out for people. I think corporate America will get behind it because there's employees there for them as well, and there's businesses. Most of it in the Saracens, there's, like I say, about 70 players and 40 women, and there's a very large percentage of them that are all employed by alum or people affiliated with the rugby team. Does that help the player? Yes. Does it help that company? 100% it does. So there's a lot, and rugby players are confident. They give back to their community. Is that not, and they work hard. They've got a great outlook on life, very positive generally. So is that the type of employee you want? Yeah, it is. So I think it's a two-way street, and it has to be a two-way street. It can't just be give back from the fans or just on the rugby field. If they can realise that this is a two-way street in a family, I think that really is a very strong message, and I think people want to be part of that. We all want to be part of something bigger than ourselves, and sometimes, and it's not that hard. It's just a case of creating something and showing the message and say, hey, come on in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the idea from like going from like high school football to college football, and then, hey, you don't have anywhere to go from college football because the NFL doesn't want you. So
yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly right. We're going into some of these schools, some of them have got great football programs, and their kids that have worked hard to be in those programs. They're, in areas that maybe are struggling a little bit, and we go in there and really that's our message. It's like, look, this kid who's playing football. Imagine if you could turn around to him as a high school football teacher and know that he's probably not going to university and what's going to be next in his life, and be able to say to him, hey, look, why don't you take up rugby? Maybe they help you find a job. Maybe they help you find a place to live. Which, if that athlete takes that opportunity, once again, the numbers speak for themselves. If they buy in and do the right things, which just means be a good person, really, to be honest, and we all help you be that person as well, because you're surrounded by lots of people like that have been through that journey. As I said, we've got guys who've been in gangs who are no longer in gangs and things like that, who are now some of our most positive people. And I think you've managed to sit in a room, especially some of those really big athletes, you get to tell them that they can carry the ball as well. You just watch their eyes open. Carry the ball. So, and also with that, we want to make sure we're touching on something. We're not going down a road here, we're just talking about men, but the women. But women can play this sport, obviously. Right. And we have a good national team, we have a good club program, and every shape and size is catered for. It's I think we get into this stereotype of an athlete needs to look like this. It's not accurate. And certainly not in rugby anyway. And even if you're an athlete that doesn't aspire to be a really big, really super healthy, fit athlete, there's still a place for you.
Right.
And it might be that you play socially on a Saturday afternoon, and you have a beer with your friends or a juice with your friends afterwards in the game or whatever that is, but it's still a family, and there is a place for you. No one is turned away. I mean, we've got players that come to us that have realised they probably aren't really cut out to play rugby, to be honest. And rather than turn away, I've tried to feed them into other local programs that they might be fitted to. And I can think of 3 that stayed with us and said, no, can we be your photographer? Can we help out as manager? Because they want to be part of it, because it's such a positive environment. So I think that's the message that I think is going to really set us apart from other sports.
Kevin, you're making me want to play rugby.
Hey, you can play rugby. I just told you.
Yeah.
Come on
out. So we're talking about men's sevens USA team. My question for you is, do you see the MLR expanding to have sevens as a team?
I don't in the near future. No, not at all. I mean, like I say, there's different elements here. Look over. Like I say, let's look at the models we do know. Do London Irish have a serious sevens team, or Wasps, or Harlequins, or not really. They don't. And the problem being, multiple things. And I'll certainly be educating myself more on this as we move forward, because there are players that want to come out of the sevens program to play this. But they're also being paid, to play 15-a-side rugby, and are those investors or are those owners or the league itself willing to let them go and play, and like I say, not international level, we're talking about this being club. Are they willing to risk those guys being injured? I don't know. I'd be surprised if they would. We want them to be, we want them to be focused on what they get paid for. And right now, that's 15s. So do I think there's a place for it in the future? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think there is. But we've got to grow our player pools first, I think. But right now, the focus is on the 15s. And like I say, I'm probably a bit guided by that, by what I know of other, first-tier nations that have 7s. It's not something those Premiership clubs really seriously. There's a place for it, but it's not as serious yet.
Richie Walker has a pretty nice resume with the 2016 women's 7s in the Olympics and an assistant head coach for the men's team. Phil Mack still being on the team and being part of the coaching staff last year, and you being involved, do you feel that you have higher expectations for the Seawolves this season than you did last year?
You know what? Honestly, I think as an organisation, I have higher expectations. As far as higher expectations on the field, I'll let the coaches deal with that. I try not to influence that too much. I control what I can control and try to make a positive environment for those players so that they can succeed and want to train harder and feel like they're supported in the way they need to. I certainly think as an organisation, whether that's administratively or on management level, I think we can always do better, and we're learning every day about what this looks like. Like I say, most guys, talking to people in San Diego, Glenn, there's a lot of people who have still got full-time jobs, and we're figuring it out as we go along. And as long as we're willing to support each other, it's going to be fine. And I think, obviously, like I say, I want us to win the league, but before I want us to win the league, I want to beat San Diego, and next week I want to beat New Orleans, and that's the way I personally think about it. But certainly having a coach here in town with us, and Anton was an amazing resource for us from overseas. He put in so much work for us, and hopefully one day we'll see him in the US coaching, and I think he'd be great here. But Richie's in town taking on that role. I think Richie is an awesome resource for us, and I think he's got a very good background in his coaching, but also the way he delivers his message I'm very impressed with, and the culture and the bigger picture. He's already engaged in local community coaching stuff, with whether that's youth or whether with the Saracens, and willing to be involved in whatever it takes, because I think he has also his belief that, for this to have longevity, it's got to be more than just us winning the MLR this year.
Right.
Although we do want to do that. But I think, we have, I've got expectations that we are getting better. We want to hope a little bit better every year, but we also want to be realistic. Let's make sure the naysayers can't step in and go, "I told you so." Right? So pick something that's going to work on that. Next year we'll pick a little other thing, and so every year, no matter what, it might be slower than normal, but every year we are getting better.
I read that you shared a dorm with Tom Brady. How true is this? And did you talk to him at all? And if you did, do you still?
Okay, so I don't know how this ended up starting. I believe it was early on in my career. I said I was in the dorms with Tom Brady. So, dorms is a pretty big building. He actually lived down the hall from me. I did talk to him. We were friends in college. The last time I saw him was probably in 2007 when we were playing in Boston. He was at a game, said hi. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
But I was not his roommate.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Interesting. Well, it's like that game of telephone that just gets like,
yeah.
He said, she said this. Okay.
I mean, we have a lot of mutual friends from college, but no, I don't even know. I guess when you say the word dorms, I think maybe people just thought you were in the same room. But.
Right. So it's August 8th, 2013, and you're playing the Mets. It's the 9th inning, and you're playing with the D-backs. You're up 4-1. Tell me what's going through your head when you get to the windup and you start pitching, and then all of a sudden the sound guy plays that moo.
Yeah, that was not one of the cooler things I've ever been a part of. That's for sure.
I would be upset.
Obviously, it scared me pretty good. I was just happy I didn't get hurt. Obviously, it wasn't intentional. But man, that sucked.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah. that could definitely derail some momentum too.
Yeah, it was not cool.
So how
And
do
it's
you?
funny now working in the front office. I see this guy a bunch now, so it's kind of funny.
Oh, really? do you talk to him at all about it?
I give him the cold shoulder every time I see him.
Nice.
Okay, I like it.
No, I'm just kidding. No, he's a good guy. He felt terrible.
Oh yeah, no, you
He
can
felt
see
terrible.
on the video. He was like, "Oh man."
Yeah.
So since you started closing in 2006, which one do you think is harder, opening or closing?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think if you asked any starting pitcher, they would probably say starting pitching is way harder than closing. But I'm not sure closers would agree with that. I think I respect the durability of a starting pitcher, but they do have 4 days off in between their appearances where they do get to spend a lot of time on the golf course. So I'm going to go ahead and say closing is harder.
So you played for both the American and the National League. Do you have a preference on what either one?
Yeah, I like the American League. I think I don't like seeing pitchers hit. I wasn't very good at hitting. I don't even have an at-bat in the big leagues, so that should show you how good I am.
Okay.
And I don't know. I just like I think one way or the other they need to balance it out. Like either everybody uses a DH or nobody.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
like that.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
So, I remember when you were playing in Seattle, and I've watched videos online since I reached out to you. Thunderstruck. I remember you would come out to the mound on Thunderstruck. Is there any particular reason why you chose that song?
So when I started closing in 06, going into the 07 season, that off season in between, Kevin Martinez, who works for the Mariners still, we were trying to bounce around some different song ideas, and he kind of threw out Thunderstruck, and I said, yeah, I love that song. And then he sent me the video that they were going to play on the board, and I was like, yeah, this is going to work just fine.
Nice.
I like it. Okay. You can't go wrong with AC/DC.
Never.
Adam Silver has spoke out many times about not doing an expansion. I don't know we talked about it, but you still are convinced that an expansion team is going to happen?
Absolutely. It's
You think so?
Yeah. It's just they say that until they don't say it.
Say that until they don't say it.
They're gonna say no until it's a thing. Just like we didn't have an arena. David Stern's like, hey, you guys don't have an arena deal.
Yeah.
Until you have an arena deal, we don't have anything to talk about.
Right.
It's like, no, we had it. We had 150 million. We had 75 million. We just need that last thing. Do you have an arena deal? Nope. Okay, let's move on. So that's the same kind of thing.
That's crazy, man.
So
How frustrating is that?
So hey, we aren't doing expansion. Then one day they're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna expand.
Yeah.
They aren't gonna say anything about that until it's happening.
Why do you think that is?
Just financial stuff. I think they want to do the expansion franchise at the time when their franchise values are at peak levels, so they can charge the peak expansion fee. They do need to get agreement from all the owners to do this. So they need to work out that deal that makes the owners
That makes sense.
So it's just one of these business things.
I don't know though. I mean, right now, what's their value? 1.2 billion or something
Yeah.
like that. And it'd be hard to turn down if you had two teams.
Well, especially when they're two
$2.4 billion?
very lucrative markets. The thing is, they have profit sharing in the NBA, and so you add two more teams, your profits go down that much. Hence the expansion fee that kind of makes them whole at the beginning before that. But if you add the two right markets, like Las Vegas and Seattle, then you can actually expand the growth of the game. So then actually the pot gets bigger because you have the right markets. So they aren't going to add Louisville or something like that, even if they want it. But
Has Seattle's market gone up since the video? You guys kept harping on the 13th, or it wasn't on the
largest media market.
Yeah.
I think we've gone up a couple notches on the media market. I want to say maybe we're 11
Okay.
or something.
I don't know if you've kept up with that or not.
Yeah, I looked it up a couple years ago.
Okay.
I think we've gone up to 11. But we are money wise, you talk about home values and things like that. I mean, there's way more money here, which is what drives the suites, and the corporate suites would sell out right away.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No problem.
I mean, was this the third or fourth year Seattle's had the most cranes in the
Yeah.
country? Or
Yeah,
the world or
everybody
something like
knows
that?
what's going on here, and there's plenty of money here.
Yeah, I mean, dude, even like suites at Thunderbirds games, or not Thunderbirds game, Tacoma Rainiers games, like get bought out quick. So I mean, that's
and I think like hockey. I just think hockey fans and basketball fans are different. I mean, there's probably a little bit of crossover, but I feel like there's like a ton of like hockey type people here, just like there's a ton of soccer people, just like there's a ton of baseball people. We have a lot of people in this area. Yeah, so I think that, and there's basketball people who are not satisfied like me going to any of those other sports.
Right.
And I'm not satisfied watching Husky basketball. I don't like college is fine. I go down to Vegas for March Madness every year and plays a bunch of parlays, but I don't like watch. I don't like watch a bunch of college. Like I want to watch the best basketball in the world.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
I don't want to waste my time with the college guys unless it's the tourney, which is fun.
Yeah. So I saw videos of him on behind the bench. You guys did that a lot. Where'd you guys go?
We went to Portland a lot at the beginning because that's easy.
Right.
And then the first big one we did was I guess it was like the second year after the team left, the first year that the Thunder were in the playoffs, they played the Lakers in the first round. We went down to LA and protested there. And the next year we did a Kickstarter because this is not a cheap thing to do.
Right.
Like go buy courtside tickets behind the bench. Then we got a Kickstarter and we went to Denver the next year. And then I think the finals were the next year, and that was when we didn't do a Kickstarter that I opened a credit card and we threw down $4,000 a ticket and sat courtside at the NBA finals at the pivotal game. I think it was game 4 or game 5, but whatever it was the pivotal game that they lost at the very end when Harden totally choked, and then they lost the finals the next game.
Which one did you see Clay Bennett at?
That was in Denver.
That was in Denver?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, he was also in LA. He was in the same section as us. He always would sit behind the Thunder bench, but we were like 20 rows up. We were like row 1 or 2 behind the Thunder bench. So we were always in the same section.
Was it always a goal to get so close to the bench that you guys could have your signs on TV?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I like it. Oh, and also to yell at Durant and other players. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I yelled at Durant that he absolutely heard me that you're never going to win a championship in Oklahoma City. Leave now. You're cursed, Durant. You're cursed. I mean, I would just go on and on. Hours.
I like it.
Hours. So, I mean, he heard it. In Miami, actually, when we went to the finals, Durant's mom and son were in the seats directly behind me and my friend. We were dressed as zombies.
Yeah. Okay.
And they got, I still remember Durant's mom got in the seat and she's like, oh, hell no. Durant at that time used to always like communicate with his mom during the game.
Right.
He had to look through a couple zombie Sonics to communicate with him.
I like it. That's awesome. Oh, man.
It's been a wild ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoever the powers that be, however it goes down. And especially the way Sacramento went down. They made us feel like we were getting the team, and they like ripped our hearts out again. Now, it saved the hearts of Kings fans.
Yeah.
We befriended a lot of Kings fans over that time. Like,
and
I'm happy for them that they saved the team, but like we got screwed, double screwed.
Yeah, and that
KJ really stepped up for them.
He did.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
what were you saying?
That vote wasn't even close.
Not
it
even.
was like
It was
28 to 2.
Yeah.
For which one?
For the
Kings.
Sacramento Kings to stay.
Right.
How crazy is it that it was just Paul Allen and Mark Cuban?
Well, that was for you're getting them confused. So it was actually closer on the Hansen vote. I don't want to say it was like 13 to 18 or 17 or something.
Was it really that close?
On when Hansen and the Kings like presented to the Board of Governors, it was at least like 10 votes on the Hansen team and 20 votes on the Kings side.
Oh, okay.
When they voted to relocate the Sonics to Oklahoma City, that was 20 to 2. And Paul Allen.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
we can look up the stats. Maybe it was only 8 people that voted. Like, they almost swung the room for the Hansen deal in the Kings, but David Stern was pushing very hard on the other
keeping
side.
the Kings. That guy, man.
Yeah, he's a punk.
Where are you at now, dude?
He's chilling out. Just like doesn't care at all.
Sipping
anymore.
Mai Tais. Question for Jason: How did Miami fans react to you guys rooting for Miami?
Well, all right. At first there was mass confusion because they're like, who are these guys? Are they rooting for the Thunder? We don't get it. Like most people who are from here are like, oh, you must still be rooting for the team that left. And we're like, no, those guys screwed us. We're rooting against them, you know? Luckily, like ESPN helped us out because they were doing some things like they showed the finals that year, and the only two places in the country that were voting for Miami was Miami and Seattle. You know, so people kind of already like knew what we were up to, but like I still remember we had the zombie makeup on, the jerseys, and we got out of the cab, and we were like Brad Pitt or something. There was just like hundreds of people surrounding us. Everybody wanted to take pictures, and we're just like, hashtag zombie sonics, hashtag zombie sonics, you know? And we just like fought our way into the arena, and I had a backpack full of like DVDs and stickers and just like flyers, and they confiscated it at the door.
Really?
And then like we had our signs. They didn't confiscate everything, but they made me pull out anything that could be construed as merchandise out of the bag. And then, but we had the zombie stuff on. We had our original signs, which is one over there. We can.
Show it. Bring it out.
It's very close.
If you guys aren't aware, we have Jason Reid, the producer and director of Sonic Skate.
This is one of the signs we had custom made. The other side is
Bring back our Seattle Supersonics.
So anyway, we had these signs, and we held them up the whole first half. I'm texting people, and they're like, we don't see the signs that well because they actually they look awesome, you know, but they didn't like show up on national TV.
Right.
And then at halftime, NBA security came over to us, and they confiscated our signs because they weren't league sanctioned.
Really?
Yeah. But little did they know I had a giant 6-foot-long Sonics flag NBA sanctioned in my backpack that they didn't take. So the whole second half of the game, if you see the footage, our flag is like super noticeable and you can totally see it. But they are doing a good job of cutting around us, of course. But
they took this away from you, huh?
yeah, and then they gave it back after the game.
Did they give you back all your merchandise?
Yeah, they gave everything back after the game. But,
Okay.
yeah. They basically, like, from what we heard, they said the owner of the other franchise doesn't want those signs to be there.
For the Heat?
No, the owner of the Thunder. But yeah, there's some people in the arena that, like, really didn't even understand. Because I'm sitting there, like, I'm a bigger Heat fan than they are, being Heat fans, because I really wanted the Thunder to lose that bad.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and everyone's just sitting around, all the rich people in their courtside seats, and I'm just like, come on, guys, stand up. Why are you cheering for your team? Let's go, Heat. Beat OKC. You know, and, like, they were just mostly confused. A lot of people, like, had seen Sonic Skate, so you had, like, people that could help us explain it. And I, you know, I had some flyers left in my pocket, so I'd be like, here, check it out.
Yeah, okay.
Like, yeah,
That's
you
cool.
once you explain it, people get it.
Yeah,
But
for
it's
sure.
a little confusing.